I ask you guys what the biggest story this year will be. Burke comes and says no undefeated teams, and a team with 3 losses will be in the national title game. Well, I can see no undefeated teams because, I mean, the road is very rocky, especially in these major conferences now with the schedules you're going to have to play. So, we've been having undefeated teams, but I could see no undefeated teams. I could see it. However, Burke, when you tell me a 3-loss team is going to be in the title game, it's harder to see, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it, as you know, being the sadistic person I am, I would like to see it because I want to see the reaction. I have told you this before. I think we've touched on this a couple of times this year already. I just want to know how it's going to be received. Now, forget the folks who fought expansion or even the people who were indifferent on it. Back when we used to debate this stuff, before it was announced that we were going to have a 12-team playoff, there were some, and I was included, who said, I think you may get to that world where you think it'll open the door for more teams and you think there'll be a Cinderella story, and I think you may be disappointed at seeing who the Cinderella ends up becoming. You're going to get to the title game, you're going to have a 3-loss team there, and they tear off the Cinderella mask, and it's just LSU. Like it's just an SEC team who got their act together late after they lost some games early in the year that otherwise would have eliminated them in a prior model. And now all of a sudden, there you go. There's Tennessee, there's LSU. Do you like that? How will that be received? Well, back then it was just speculative. Now in Burke's aforementioned example, I would assume it's happened. And I was reading that and I was thinking to myself, where would the 3-loss team come from? I think it's got to be an SEC team. Or there's another world where, let's just say, an Ohio State or someone like that, an Oregon, they have their quarterback hurt at the beginning of the year. They lose some games. They get him back late in the year. That could happen. That's a pretty far out there example. That could happen. But more likely to me is an example like LSU this past year, where LSU loses some games because they can't play a lick of defense, but somehow they end up being really good in the red zone. Later in the year, they get some key efficiency metrics figured out enough to where they're riding a Heisman-caliber quarterback. They got multiple stars at receiver, and they can outscore anyone. And they get in the playoff, and they win a few games, and all of a sudden they're red hot. No one wants to face them, and there they are. 3-loss LSU, let's just say, is in the title game. In other words, if we had a 12-team playoff this past year, and LSU ended up making a run getting to the title game, what would you think about it? For those of you who wanted expansion, would you be happy with that? Would you say that's a good thing because it means anyone could get hot late in the year and they could make it? That means more teams stay alive. Or would you say, wow, that kind of rendered them losing a quarter of their games in the regular season meaningless? Because if you can just get hot late, and this is still a sport where talent is disproportionately going to be slanted towards a few teams, even in the NIL and portal era, it's going to be that way. Do I really like this? I'm not talking as me. I'm talking as you. I'm asking you guys. So, Burke, it's a radical prediction, but I don't think it's that radical. I've told you, I think someone's going to make some run early in the expanded playoff field. It's just not going to be who you think it is. That Cinderella is going to look far more familiar than many of you want her to look. You want her to look brand new. You want her to look like a team that you've never seen there before. And she gets there, and she peels off that mask, and, oh, cool, it's Alabama. Welcome back. What have you been doing lately? Thought we were rid of you. That's fun. Oh, so Alabama's going to play for a title with 3 losses. Awesome. Great. New blood.